everybody, it's Drybear. And this morning we got two pieces of news for the First Descendant. The first is an actual apology from the director talking about some of the mishaps they've had with the Battle Pass, with Wall Crasher, and what they are committed to doing going forward. And additionally, we also did get a hotfix as well as a new skin added to the game. So today we're going to talk about both of those things and make sure you're caught up and in the know. First change is they improved the assault ship explosions in the Axian planes yet again. So the first iteration we have of this when Season 3 launched is you would basically get blinded by the sun every time a assault ship would get exploded. It would literally cover your screen in massive particle systems. They would blind you completely. Then they did a change to fix that, which actually ended up improving performance significantly, as the particle systems that were playing from that were actually way too intense. So they did a change there. However, right after they did it, it kind of felt like it was more flat and a little bit two-dimensional, so they did another improvement to it as well. I think this is pretty good. It adds a lot more black smoke to the explosion, which helps give it depth, which makes it look a lot more real. However, they don't like explode and like cause a blind, and they, you know, as you can see, it looks a lot better now. It looks pretty clean and doesn't seem to have any performance hit, at least on my machine. So log in after today, check the explosion of the assault ships and make sure that A, they look good, and B, they still don't cause frame drops after the change. Next, they updated character lighting to be enhanced when you're in a dark area. So, you know, a lot of people love doing, you know, photo mode and photo shoots with their favorite Descendant. We are getting the lounge in a couple weeks, which means that people are going to be able to, you know, show off their characters with special lighting. And a lot of times people will do photo mode in Axian, or sorry, in Albion, because it has the best lighting in the game, and it's really easy to get something that really looks good. However, with the patch today, they updated the lighting on the characters in dark areas to give them a little bit of a character light. If you don't know, in development, oftentimes there is like environment lighting. A lot of times they'll do like dynamic motion or like god rays that have a directional lighting to it as well. However, just to ensure that characters are well lit all the time, you'll often see what is a character light, which is a light attached to your character that ensures that your character is always lit. And I'm guessing that's what they did here. So they've included some comparison images here, so you can see the like deep in the cave, the difference between the character lighting being added here versus not in the dark areas, being able to see your character a little bit easier. This looks like, what is this, White Knight or Vespers or something. You can see it a lot darker in the shadow here, a little bit lighter. You can very clearly see that even though there is no environment lighting around Nell in this case, there is a character light that allows you to be lit in that area anyways, and it just helps your character be, you know, a little bit easier to be seen. This looks like what, Void Vessel or something, Void Vessel here as well. So they did an update to the character lighting to make sure that no matter where you are, even if you're in a super dark area, it's a little bit easier to see your character. And hopefully not only does this make it easier to appreciate your characters, an element that a lot of people enjoy about the First Descendant, but it also means that in dark areas, you don't have to worry about being completely blacked out by the shadows. Next, keep in mind we are getting more trigger modules and more mutant cells in a couple weeks as well, with the September update on September 4th. However, today they did an update to 2 of the trigger modules in the game that they felt were underperforming. So the first one is Death by 1,000 Cuts. They increased the amount of residual RK preservation stacks that you get through tracking projectiles. Right now, with the shot projectiles like you get with like Nell, for example, right? Like you're shooting projectile forward that's non-tracked, you get a large amount of stacks for that Death by 1,000 Cuts. So Nell can almost trigger Death by 1,000 Cuts with like 2 casts of her skill, depending on, you know, how many targets it hits and where it goes, which is super easy for the non-directional, just forward shooting projectiles. However, the tracking projectiles, like say with a Nez's Chain Lightning, those build up the Death by 1,000 Cuts a lot slower by comparison, and so they wanted to kind of bring those closer together and in line. So they increased the amount of residual RK preservation on those from 1 to 2. So now you get 2 of those per tracking projectile instead of 1, which means you can trigger those meteors a lot easier on characters that have tracking projectiles. Next, they did a buff to the particle conversion emitter. If you don't know this one, this is the support one that you have to trigger effects on allies to get the benefit. We're in a game right now where you just play a Nez or Serena and kill everything anyways, and so support you know, tries to find its place in the world. So it's not quite the most popular playstyle in the First Descendant, but they did buff the particle conversion emitter, meaning that the required number of stacks to trigger the benefit has been reduced by what, 20%, 15 down to 12, so 20% or so down there. So a lot better improvement on that. Again, we're getting new trigger modules and new mutant cells. Hopefully a decent amount of them, you know, that will come online in a couple weeks here. Next, they improved a very awkward UI interaction. If you're on a character that doesn't currently have RK trigger modules set up and activated, you can't even open your RK module menu at all. Like it'll give you a CTA or a call to action, that little red dot that tells you to click on something. You go to it and it doesn't actually work. Like you can't open it. So that's the way it was before when the season launched, but they've improved it now so that even if you don't have the RK trigger activated on that character, you can still at least look at your inventory of RK modules, trigger modules, without being able to equip them, which I think is way better. They also did a few other minor cleanups, BGM playback when you're looking at the fellow interactions, the survey participation button being removed and out of the way, and then some cleanups for the mailbox events, whatever, being available immediately upon game start. So some cleanups for some UI. Next, they updated the store with new cosmetics, so you can have more things in there. So they added the Sunset Cocktail bundle here. So this is a universal skin for the femme fatales of the game, which is like your summertime, I don't know, top and jean shorts and like summer shoes. It does come with a pretty cool like setup for the fellow if you want some glasses. Got a little like Hawaiian shirt. You got this cool little like penguin from Madagascar chilling with his little sandal, which has its own physics on it, which is kind of cool. It also has a UI menu with orange and cocktails and whatever, this here as well. And then also has a fellow interaction, this little like, you know, wavy dance that they do in Lilo and Stitch, you know, and it's got music that plays too. And the dog dances, it's a fellow interaction there. And then you've also got a exotic dance that you can do by yourself, which is basically, I think, just half of what it was. Yeah, so it's like very similar, but a little less hand wavy and a little more hips, I guess, if that's what you're after. So that whole bundle is there. There's also a bundle or a set just for the skin itself. They also updated the rotational skins. This is something that they haven't really publicized all that much, but if you are interested, they do these rotational bundles that include a Descendant slot, as well as one of the epic or purple quality skins for 3 of the Descendants. They had ones for 3 different Descendants before, and they just rotated. I think it's gonna rotate every 2 weeks or so. So you're gonna be able to get this, and this is gonna be like her intensive care skin. Is that what it's called? Intensive care skin for Glay. So it gives you a little bit of a discount on it, especially if you own the Descendant. You see that this is 640 caliber right now with a Descendant slot, whereas this skin for Enzo is like 750 by total, which means buying this bundle, if you already own the Descendant, is cheaper than buying the skin itself, but it also includes a 50 caliber Descendant slot. So these are kind of like these rotational bundles here. If you like the purple skin or the epic quality skin for the character, or, you know, if you want to get the character, if you're new to the game and you're listening to this, don't buy the character, go farm the character, unlock it, and then buy the bundle. You can see if you own the character, it gives you a discount here, so you can get this unlocked as well, which is pretty nice. The only downside here is that because it includes the normal version of the character, you'll notice that I don't have a discount on these because I've dismissed all my normal characters if they have an ultimate version, so I'm not wasting Descendant slots. But if you want to be crazy and own all the characters anyways, you'll get that discount there for the rotational bundle. Then we've got a bunch of bug fixes coming in. Fixed an issue where a blank would appear in the boost path tracker within the quest area. They fixed an issue where the skill cooldown display option, when it's enabled, if you have a skill that has multiple charges to it, the timer would bug out. They fixed the Ajax head skin not being equipable on Ultimate Ajax. This was a bug, so there's a Ajax skin in the Battle Pass. If you get the skin, it only worked before on normal Ajax, not Ultimate Ajax, and that was just a bug that they've now fixed. They fixed an issue where after completing all the Descendant begins missions in the boost pass, that wouldn't give you the correct mission that would follow up after that. They fixed an issue where the week 2 battle pass weekly challenge mission counted would not count progress. There's more of these, but it's nice that they're fixing them now. They fixed an issue finally where the blueprints, items, and components for crafting the Orca and the Vortex were mislabeled in any language besides Korean. So if you ever wondered, like, hey, you need the lift device for the Vortex, and then you go to craft it and it accidentally crafts a different one, or just doesn't have the right name, this has finally been fixed. I'm wondering how many people out there accidentally crafted the same thing twice without realizing that the name was wrong in game. So that being fixed is pretty great. They fixed an issue where the breach discharger's barrier was displaying text that was abnormally large. They fixed an issue where the preset order change function would cause the load information from a preset to be swapped to an empty slot, which is really nice. And that is the end of the hotfix changes. Next, let's run through the apology from the production director, Byung-jun. He just kind of put this out today, just kind of apologizing for They've had tons of issues since the launch, like instability, crashes, lag, frame drops. They've had bugs in the boost up event. They've had bugs in the battle pass. They had the battle pass exploit where you could skip levels. They've had exploits with wall crasher or things where you wouldn't get into wall crashers. Tons of problems, and it makes sense that Byung-jun would be talking about this, him handling most of the production as well. And he starts by saying, "I would like to sincerely apologize for the inconvenience and disappointment you experienced due to the recurring issues during the recent Season 3 update. Through today's announcement, I'd like to address the issues related to the Battle Pass and Wall Crasher specifically. First, regarding the Battle Pass, there were continuous errors such as weekly challenges not refreshing and abnormal daily challenge EXP gains, which directly affected our Descendants achievements and rewards. This was the exploit. You could basically instantly complete a challenge and then get the value and it would reset and you could do it again. And so people were using this exploit. They were able to get to Battle Pass level 400 in a matter of minutes and then get all the rewards. So they kind of had that there. This issue arose during a response to Battle Pass errors after the 1.3.1 patch, and it was caused by inadequate handling by the dev team and an insufficient QA process. So that's pretty big of them to admit that, hey, this is our fault. You know, our process was flawed and we messed up and, you know, whatever. So respect for them for just taking it on the chin like that. As the person in charge, I would like to apologize once again. We would like to assure you that we are continuously working to resolve the remaining issues. He goes on to notify, talk about the issues that we had on Wall Crasher. Like the first 3 to 4 days of Wall Crasher, you would only get loot from Wall Crasher maybe once every 4 times or 3 times. Most of the time, loot wouldn't drop at all. And then they put out a hotfix that addressed that and made that like 30% drop rate go to 60%, but it was still bugging out most of the time. So we identified issues with the reward drops at the beginning of the season, as well as unintended gameplay that exploited the party play function. We are currently preparing improvement for these issues. So nothing out yet. I'm not sure exactly which thing he's talking about with the unintended gameplay that exploited the party play function. There are ways with an exploit on Wall Crasher to be able to do Wall Crasher, 2 or 3 times if you're fast to queue up and get into Wall Crasher before he ends. And I don't know if that's technically an exploit or just a clever use of game mechanics. Like if you kill Wall Crasher fast enough and get back in queue, you can do him again. However, there was a party function where you could start a Wall Crasher, finish it, jump to someone else's party, get in, finish it, get in, finish it. And there are some people that were doing Wall Crasher upwards of like 6 to 10 times every hour. And that, if you're wondering, if you go to the in-game leaderboards on the Wall Crasher leaderboards, if you're wondering how people have multiple millions of contribution points and they're dominating the leaderboard, it's because they were using the Wall Crasher exploit to do him, half a dozen or a dozen times every hour to completely blow everyone out of the water and dominate the leaderboards, which is a big problem. So they've identified that issue. That's probably what they're talking about here, and they're working on a fix for that as well. He goes on to say that we also humbly accept the feedback that Season 3 content as a whole has not met expectations in terms of stability and completeness. Some people have had issues. There are people that are still experiencing issues, errors logging in, getting disconnected, crashing, having missions fail, getting locked out of things. So I would say that Season 3 is by far their buggiest and most unstable live, content patch yet. So it's had a lot of issues, and he just accepts the fact that it just wasn't there. All people have given the feedback that it's not complete, meaning there's only 7 missions and 6 races, and it feels mostly empty with the amount of content that's in the Axian Plains. And they even in a recent interview said they were going to add more missions to the Axian Plains, leading some people to get excited, but also some people to say, well, why didn't those missions exist in the first place? You're going to release Axian Plains mostly empty and then add to it over time. What kind of strategy is that? They say the dev team will do their utmost to address the remaining issues with urgency while ensuring the previously announced monthly update plans continue without delay. In addition, the dev team aims to pursue more fundamental and sustainable improvements by learning from the issues that have emerged from this season. He goes on to say, above all, we plan to establish a more stable development environment by reorganizing inefficient internal processes that have accumulated since launch. Pretty words, it's nice to say, and I'm sure that they're hard at work on it, but at least it's good that they're acknowledging it, and we'll just have to wait and see if, the September update is a lot more stable. Not only will we make short-term efforts to prevent issues through more thorough inspections, but also in the mid to long term, plan to comprehensively review and address problems within our inefficient development processes that have accumulated over time. Part of me wonders if this is like a statement that's half for the audience, but also half for Daddy Nexon. It's almost like they're like reporting to their bosses like, we found the problem and we'll make it better. I promise, I swear. While it may not fully make up for the disappointment our descendants have felt regarding these issues, we have prepared the following compensation as a token of our sincerest apologies. First thing, and you probably noticed when you logged in today that you were suddenly had a whole bunch of battle pass levels that you didn't have before. They gave out some battle pass EXP compensation. And I think the big thing here is that the people that use the exploit to level their battle pass, they were wondering if they were going to get rolled back or get some kind of punishment. The only thing that happened to the people that did that, whether they did it knowingly or accidentally, they just like reduced your pink tokens, which is arguably the worst redemption shop in the entire game by far. So like, oh no, I won't be able to buy my 100 ion precision calibrators from the pink shop at the end of the battle pass. I am so distraught. But they got to keep everything from the battle pass, and their battle pass was done. So it really wasn't much of a slap on the wrist for the people that exploited. So I think what they're doing is they're saying, the exploiters got to benefit. Let's make sure that everybody else benefits as well. So they gave out a bunch of Battle Pass XP as well, and you should notice it within 10 minutes of logging in. Then they also included a full compensation package. So you'll see this kind of showing up as well when you log in. It should come with a full 2.4 million Battle Pass EXP, about 30 levels, depending on how far you into the Battle Pass. If you're at the very beginning of the Battle Pass, I think it's about 30 levels. If you're towards the middle of the Battle Pass, it might be like 15 to 18 levels, and it just depends on where you are, but they're giving you a flat amount of Battle Pass XP. So if you log in and you wonder, why do I have a bunch of Battle Pass levels I didn't earn? It's because of the exploiters getting benefits, and they want to make sure other people get benefits as well. You'll also get an energy activator, a fully cooked catalyst, 3 types of paint for hair, vehicle, and for character, as well as a set of boosters as well. So all of that should be available in-game within 10 minutes of you logging in. And that's what we got for today. So you got new skins in the store, if that's your kind of thing. You've got some free stuff given out for compensation, if that's your kind of thing, and some updates and some things going along. And again, remember, we have a new patch coming in a couple weeks with the Lounge, Ultimate Luna, new story, new trigger modules, and also new mutant cells as well. Hopefully some mutant cells that affect weapons, so we can include those in our arcade tuning for characters that use weapons. Although that means that, yes, it will make Glay stronger and Weapon Haley stronger and Water Moisture Valby stronger and Weapon Enzo stronger. But unfortunately, if we get mutant cells that are weapon-based, it's also going to make Serena stronger. So, it is what it is. But let me know what you think about the hotfix today. The new skins, if you are enjoying them, they're all over the Reddit. People are enjoying it quite a lot. And also just what you think about the compensation package as well. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below. Leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people. And don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.